When it comes to negotiating with the terrorist government of Iran, Trump's all over the lot. One day he sounds tough, the next day he's backing off. And now, all of a sudden, we find out that Witkoff and Rubio are negotiating a secret side deal with Iran. What kind of bull is this? They're going to sound tough in public and then have a side deal that lets Iran get away with everything? That's outrageous. We need to make that side deal public. Any side deal should be before Congress and, most importantly, the American people. If Taco Trump is already folding, the American public should know about it. No side deal.
So that's Chuck Schumer last year egging Trump on to be more hawkish on Iran, saying we shouldn't have any side deals and he needs to be tough in public. That's the kind of rhetoric some people, and you know this, people in your party would say, people in your base would say, that's the kind of democratic hawkishness that emboldens a Trump and emboldens the Republican Party.
You know, I voted just last night against transferring weapons to Israel.
How did Chuck Schumer vote last night?
And he voted for it. We disagree.
How many people
that.
voted against the weapons?
7. And the Democratic Party.
40 of your colleagues. You and 39 of your colleagues voted to block weapons.
That's correct.
And 7 Democrats, including the leader of your caucus, voted against it. How can he lead a caucus if he's in a minority of 7, Senator Welch?
Well, I don't want to turn this into a discussion about what Chuck Schumer...
I'm just wondering. We don't have to turn it into a discussion. It's a simple question. How does he lead a caucus if 6 people are on his side and 40 of you are against him? I don't understand the math.
Well, he loses some votes.
You know what's funny about politics? Everyone talks about accountability right up until the questions start getting uncomfortable. That's exactly what happens in this interview. It starts as a conversation about Iran, but it doesn't stay there for long. Because Mehdi Hasan keeps asking one question, over and over and over again. If you're willing to criticize one side, are you willing to hold your own side to that exact same standard? Now that's where things get interesting. Because instead of arguing about Republicans, the spotlight suddenly shifts onto the Democratic Party itself. And trust me, there's one moment later in this interview where a simple question about the party's own leadership leaves the senator scrambling to explain what's really going on. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these political breakdowns, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to every political update, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, let's watch this together.
There was a war powers vote in the Senate, which would have reined Trump in on Iran. It failed in the Senate this week. John Fetterman, of course, broke with your party to oppose the measure, while Senator Rand Paul broke with his party to support the measure. It wasn't enough to get it through. What happens now?
Well, we're going to continue to fight on this. I mean, the president has got the votes in Congress with the Republican compliant majority. But under Article 1, as we all know, it's up to Congress to decide yes or no on going to war. The most profound decision that a country can make to put its men and women in harm's way. What we've seen, not just on the war-making powers, but in Congress, is that with this president, there's an extraordinary overreach and abuse of executive authority, but it's being met by congressional capitulation. And what we're seeing is that the Republicans are sticking with him because they're more fearful of retaliation by Trump against them electorally than they are about the well-being of their own constituents. So we're going to keep pushing it, and I think electorally we're going to be rewarded for it because this war in particular is totally unpopular. Yes. There's no one who understands what it is the president is doing, what he hopes to achieve, and how he's going to achieve it. But they're also acutely aware he's going to be coming in asking for $200 billion. That's going to be $1,400 out of every household's pocket. There's $2,000 additional gas bill that you're going to have. In Vermont, we're going to pay about $1,000 more for home heating fuel. So these are real economic concerns for everyday Americans, and they see an incoherent policy and they don't understand what's in it for the United States.
So you're right about the economic situation. Clearly that's hurting the Republicans, going to help you electorally. On the war, though, I wonder how much it will help you electorally, given there's people like yourself and Bernie Sanders and others who have been very critical, Chris Murphy, of this war from the outset. But there are others in your party who came late to this. And your leader in the Senate isn't really known for being an anti-war figure. I want to play a clip of Chuck Schumer speaking last year. He posted a video about Trump and Iran before the war. Have a listen.
When it comes to negotiating with the terrorist government of Iran, Trump's all over the lot. One day he sounds tough, the next day he's backing off. And now, all of a sudden, we find out that Witkoff and Rubio are negotiating a secret side deal with Iran. What kind of bull is this? They're going to sound tough in public and then have a side deal that lets Iran get away with everything? That's outrageous. We need to make that side deal public. Any side deal should be before Congress and, most importantly, the American people. If Taco Trump is already folding, the American public should know about it. No side deal.
So that's Chuck Schumer last year egging Trump on to be more hawkish on Iran, saying we shouldn't have any side deals and he needs to be tough in public. That's the kind of rhetoric some people, and you know this, people in your party would say, people in your base would say, that's the kind of democratic hawkishness that emboldens a Trump and emboldens the Republican Party.
Did you catch that? This is actually where the interview changes. Up until now, the focus was on what President Trump was doing. But Mehdi just pulled out an old clip that forces Democrats to explain something a lot of people have been wondering. If you criticized Trump for not being tough enough on Iran before, why are you criticizing him now for going too far? Whether you agree with that question or not, it's a difficult one to answer without explaining what actually changed. Let's see how Senator Welch responds.
Well, there's a difference between being hawkish and being stupid, all right? Trump is talking tough. He's going to bomb them into the Stone Age. But what he doesn't appreciate is what's the limits of what can be accomplished through military means. And Iran, led by the Ayatollahs, have an infinite capacity to inflict pain on their own citizens or accept pain inflicted by others. So there has to be some negotiation that should be more transparent. I do agree totally with Senator Schumer that there shouldn't be, quote, side deals. And,
but that was a video very clearly put out to attack Trump from the right. That was not a video saying, let's tone things down, let's do a deal with Iran. That was a video saying, be tougher on Iran. Let's be clear.
And also be smarter. But look, I voted just last night against transferring weapons to Israel.
How did Chuck Schumer vote last night?
And he voted for it. We disagree.
How many people voted against the weapons?
7. And the Democratic Party.
40 of your colleagues. You and 39 of your colleagues voted to block weapons.
That's correct.
And 7 Democrats, including the leader of your caucus, voted against it. How can he lead a caucus if he's in a minority of 7, Senator Welch?
Well, I don't want to turn this into a discussion about what Chuck Schumer...
I'm just wondering. We don't have to turn it into a discussion. It's a simple question. How does he lead a caucus if 6 people are on his side and 40 of you are against him? I don't understand the math.
Well, he loses some votes. I mean, the reality is there's a lot of space in our caucus. And, when we started out on this, when it came to weapons to Israel, there were 3 of us, Bernie Sanders, Jeff Merkley, and me, who voted no. We now have 40. So
But you're making my point for me, Senator Welch. People watch you and say, okay, I like Peter Welch of Vermont. I like Bernie Sanders of Vermont. There's something in the water of Vermont. We like those guys. They've been taking a consistent anti-war position, anti-weapons to Israel position. But that's not the Democratic Party. You're not the leader. The leader is Chuck Schumer, and he doesn't take that position.
Okay, now this is where things get really awkward. Notice what Mehdi keeps doing. He isn't arguing with the senator. He's asking him to explain something most viewers are probably wondering too. If 40 Democrats voted one way, and only 7, including the party leader, voted the other, then who's really speaking for the party? That's the question sitting right in the middle of this debate. And honestly, it's not an easy one to answer. Let's see if the senator can explain it.
Do you understand that people do... people telling me this all the time, Democrats are bad. And I say, well, there are good Democrats who are trying to stop this. And they say, but look at the leadership.
Right. So you can have your beef with Schumer on this issue.
Well, 62% of Democrats say they want new leadership in Congress.
No, I understand that. But we can talk about that, and there's going to be an election, and hopefully we're going to get the majority. That's something that Senator Schumer works on incredibly hard, and it's within reach. It was wishful thinking for us to think we could take back the Senate majority. Now it's a very realistic likelihood. Senator Schumer is not the leader when it comes to where the Democratic Party is on what's going on with Israel, in Lebanon, in Iran. And the war is extremely unpopular. And many of my colleagues who were with Senator Schumer on their position just a year ago are now listening to their constituents who do not like this war, who think that it is making us less secure, and do not want to have Benjamin Netanyahu essentially dictating policy. And that's where the focus is. And I think Senator Schumer is going to realize that. And how could he not when we've got 40 Democrats who are making it very clear we don't want to be doing these weapon transfers to Benjamin Netanyahu.
That was a major vote last night, right? That was historic.
It was a historic vote where it shows, it's, again, step back a second. Trump did something astonishing. when he was making a decision about whether to commit us to war, he invited the leader of another country, Benjamin Netanyahu, into the Situation Room. And Netanyahu gave him assurances that if we bomb, then the Ayatollahs will collapse and there'll be regime change. If we bombed, he asserted, the Strait of Hormuz would stay open. Even with President Trump's own intelligence people saying that's farcical, Trump went ahead based on his, quote, gut. And it's really a deference to Netanyahu. That is totally and utterly irresponsible for a leader of a country, in this case Trump,
yes,
to basically kowtow to the leader of another country when their agenda is totally different than what our needs are. So the American people get that. My Republican colleagues, who I think have significant reservations about the leadership of President Trump, are not stepping up and acting as a U.S. Senator must act, and that is on accept the responsibility we have to make our own decisions about the wisdom of committing our country to war.
I want to come back to Israel and Netanyahu in a moment. You mentioned Trump being stupid and dumb and just not understanding things and being misled by Netanyahu. He's obviously had a crazy week, even by Trump crazy.
You know, what stood out to me most about this interview wasn't even the disagreement. Political disagreements happen every day. It was the fact that almost every tough question came back to one simple idea. Should politicians be willing to hold their own party to the same standard they expect from everyone else? Because whether you agreed with Mehdi or whether you agreed with Senator Welch, that's probably the biggest question this interview leaves behind. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Senator Welch answered those questions honestly? Or do you think Mehdi exposed a deeper problem inside the Democratic Party? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to every political update, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next political deep dive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.